Morning YouTube, another Taurus High Point production coming at you. Today we're going to be talking about ball starters, homemade versus commercial. There is some differences. The commercials are a little bit stronger because of the materials they utilize. Polymer handles, aluminum and brass jigs. The homemades are decent. They work really well for all three of my rifles. I actually have no issues with it. This is made by Dave over at Frontier Muzzleloaders. I'll try to put a link in the description below. But it's just a piece of deer antler, dowel rod, 9mm casing. Okay, most of the guys like using these for the realistic or frontier style muzzle loading. They can get away with using one of these, being that it looks rustic and realistic. Most guys do prefer good old Thompson center. Now I bought the Thompson center as a kit. I got a couple of speed loaders, some shot. I spent like I think $75 for the entire kit. I spent $20. That included the shipping. I'm well impressed with this. This will start balls in my 50 caliber rifles. They'll start balls in my... It'll actually ram them in this Pieta. It'll send them home ready to shoot. Okay. I have to disassemble the Pieta completely. For it to work, I take it completely apart. I throw all my powder, drop all my wad, and then kind of finger push my shot to where it holds steady. Then I just come back in and push it home with this, and it seats it and packs it quite nice. There's no room for marginal error after that ball is seated. Does real nice for that. And most guys prefer the commercial. I've actually truly fallen in love with the homemade one. The handmade one looks rustic. I mean, it's in comparison. I mean, it's a two and about an inch shorter or so. But this just slaps right into a bag. I can take two rifles and a revolver, or just the two rifles. You know, either way. This one I do like more, as per se. This does a fine job, but it doesn't start the balls on the Pieta. So if I'm using just the rifles, that's generally what I drop in the bag, or I leave this one sitting on my gun shelf. And when I'm ready to load for muzzle loading season, I will use this to start the ball. This one stays in the bag. I just grab a whole bag and go. The bag has rifle powder, pistol powder, the shot for both, wads for both. I do a lot of lead ball, so this is awesome. For the price, it's a little, I would say, top heavy, but even overall, it's no heavier than this one. This one's bottom heavy because of the big brass fitting on it. And the handle itself is a tough polymer plastic. It does hold, it does load. If this were longer, like that one, I would worry about that dowel snapping. But as it's 3 or 4 inches, I'm not even worried about that dowel snapping. It can happen, yes. Has it happened with people who have made them in the past before? Yes. Um, that happens when you refuse to swab at least every third round to clean out your barrel, because the gunk builds up in it. And then when you try to ramrod with something kind of made out of wood, the wood breaks because it can't handle the pressure of the garbage that you got behind that shot. This one can. Fiberglass ramrods have been known to snap because of the amount of garbage people have left in their barrels. I can't emphasize enough, at least every third shot, if you're out there just sending lead down range like I do from time to time, run a patch with a little bit of cleaner, kind of clean out that barrel a little bit. Some people do, some people don't. Does that make you a better person or a better shooter? No. It makes me a smarter shooter, because I prefer to take my cleaning and my shooting literally. Even this thing. Every second cylinder, I'll run a wire rod through the back of the barrel and push the crud out. I'll take it apart. Most shooters won't do that. They're insistent on making a mess and then getting mad because the products don't work. Then they want to jump up and go, "Oh, the product sucks. He made it by hand." No. If you're smart enough, okay, clean up after yourself. Just these products will last a lifetime. Now, granted, I've only had this one about 3 months. Okay, but out of that 3 months, I've gone to the range about 4 times. Most of the times it's with one of the Pieta and 2 of my my rifles, my CVA Hawken and my CVA Buckhorn. But sometimes I take a bolt action with me. That's the main one I use for hunting. Take care of your equipment. Clean it out after every second or third shot. I do 3 shots and then I ram that barrel, ride the barrel, swab the barrel, whatever you wanna. And it has yet to fail. It hasn't even jammed. You know, sometimes you can get pushing a little starter and it'll get hung up on something and it'll just jam. No. But that's me. Alright. Commercial versus homemade. I like the homemade because it's easier to throw in a possibilities bag and take it with all of my black powder shooting rifles, pistol. It'll load all from, you might as well say, from 44 round ball to 50 caliber. This will do the same, but you have to constantly be taking off this brass end. Then that leaves the aluminum open for scratching and marring, and whether you're scratching and marring the barrel or scratching and marring the aluminum, something's going to give, something's going to fail. So I try not to use that too much for my 44. I use that basically ram starting that 50 caliber bolt action. I use that during hunting seasons. So, but it is a fine ball starter. It is. It's bulky. If you're trying to make room in a small bag, okay, I would go with this one. It does a lot more. Granted, it doesn't look as nifty. It's not made from plastic. And it supports a local business rather than a corporate business. But I still use this. It's just pretty much for everyday use. If I'm just out there slinging lead, that's the one I got with me. That's the one I like. And another Taurus High Point production. And I'll try to have fun.